Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello dear listener and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
Well, not a whole lot to be honest.
Good.
It's been a flat week. Just...
We're still hibernating, aren't we? Basically.
Well, it does not help that there was not a lot of good time to be doing things because summer, as it turns out, can get kind of warm. kind of warm.
When was it that you went out?
Was that the week and a half ago?
Right, okay, that was...
And as of last night, I am again suffering consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
Of you going out?
Yes. Because I got mildly sunburned.
You did, didn't you?
And as it turns out, there are long-term consequences, like skin not quite having as strong a grasp on the rest of your body as...
Are you peeling?
A little.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
You're molting.
Mm.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah. Anyway, this week was too hot to get anything done.
It was pretty average, temperature-wise. It was interesting. I did catch up with dear listener Lee during the week. We did lunch, and he spent many years in Brisbane before moving down here, and he was saying, I don't think I could move back to Brisbane.
It's a hot place.
Yes, but I think he also has appreciated the fact that, you know, all of the poo-pooing of down in Tassie being cold. We have cold winters, but we can put on a hot summer, a few hours a week.
Oh, I don't know about a few hours a week.
Oh, and you know what? You know what I didn't do when we did lunch?
Uh-huh.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Dear listener Lee did make a comment on last week's episode. He listened right through to the end, which nobody is supposed to do, and heard what was to be deleted random off-the-cuff invite to anyone who wants to join us. And he made a comment on Facebook that, he'd come along. And I was going to invite him.
Right.
On Monday, but forgot to do so. Oh, is that a helicopter going overhead?
Probably.
Cool.
There's been a few.
There have
over
been.
the past few days.
Yes. I think it's mainly tourists.
Right.
Yeah, going on trips over... hang on. We'll just wait for the helicopter to fly over.
You know, when the things you want to do are in an audio-visual medium. Like, last night, probably wouldn't have been good anyway. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I thought that was going to be interesting.
Last night wasn't going to work anyway because I was going to have a shower, and that just sort of cuts out a lot of... it doesn't...
We've got phones going. Gee, we're a professional bunch. We go and plant our Deranged Cat studio right underneath the flight path of various aircraft.
There's a certain and rapidly increasing amount of time, you know, in the evening when it's still reasonable to be doing things that make sounds, and it's kind of hard to make sounds for consumption by other people when a helicopter decides to fly overhead for a good few minutes. Which is to say, it's not helpful at all.
No, it's not.
It's still going.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
Oh
very,
yeah, I'm getting it through the headphones.
Yep. It's all very disappointing.
Yeah. Okay, it's a little quieter now. As I was saying, I meant to invite Lee over to join us for this week's movie, but I didn't.
Right.
Yes, I forgot.
There was an episode of Schlag den Star early Sunday morning.
And it only went for 15 minutes.
No, it went a bit longer than the previous two and wasn't quite as good.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then they're going on a hiatus. Is that correct?
There's Winter Olympics and they only do so many episodes a year and...
Right. As for me, I went into town and I donated blood and did lunch. And other than that, yes, I've been very much homebody due to weather and avoiding people. So, yeah, this segment is much like last week's segment, which is much like last week's segment. So, let's just get straight into what are we watching this week, Thomas?
That's a great question.
Yeah, you're going to have to bring it up because...
I don't have it in front of me and...
I didn't grab the disc because it's streaming on both Prime and on Stan, so we'll stream it off one of those.
Right.
I think.
Just give me a moment.
So you'll just have to bring up the plot synopsis. Because you're going to need my movies database later because it'll be your turn to choose.
It will be my turn.
See, I'm getting...
It will be my turn, but that doesn't necessarily imply that I will need the My Movies database.
Ah, but you'll still need to read a plot synopsis.
Which I have grabbed off of Just Watch.
Ooh, okay. What, for...
For Minority Report.
Minority Report, okay.
John Anderton is a top pre-crime cop in the late 21st century, when technology can predict crimes before they're committed. But Anderton becomes the quarry when another investigator targets him for a murder charge.
That was short.
That was short.
Short and sweet.
Yep.
Thank you, Just Watch. So we're just going to watch that.
Not sponsored.
We're going to bring it up on some kind of streaming service. We'll watch it, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B. You might already know what's on side B.
I don't know what's on side B. I do not have the second sight that tells me what's about to happen.
It's probably a film discussion segment.
Ah. Do I call you Mongrel?
There's somewhere in there.
Right, Mongrel.
A film discussion segment, an untitled segment, and the selection of a film.
Except I've pretty much wiped out all of those in the first segment.
That's a shame.
We'll get this feeling of deja vu. Anyway, roll the tape.
Turn side B.
Mongrel.
Turn it over. What are you still doing here?
Stop. So, what did you think?
That was all right. That was not great, but it was good.
It really is as this podcast is not a visual medium, I'm doing a wave motion. It's sort of very much peaks and ebbs, and it's got some really, really, really good stuff, and some fairly average stuff. It's a real love-hate relationship I've got with this film. It's very strange.
As with many films around this time, very high contrast.
Yes. I do wonder whether that was to cover up some still fairly primitive computer animation. I was looking at the dates that this came out. So it came out 3 years after Phantom Menace.
Right.
And when you consider the computer animation that occurred in that, I don't know why I linked to that, but this just didn't stand up anywhere near as well as the Phantom Menace has, I don't think. The car scenes, the vehicle scenes, all look really, really artificial. I had problems with that.
Are you telling me that this ain't pod racing?
Well, it's funny that that was the instant connection, I guess, was the pod racing. It looked clunky, and the scenes where he's climbing over the vehicles that are going down a vertical incline, it just didn't hold up well, I didn't think. I did like how it went straight into in your face the murder and
we explain the central technology by showing you what happens.
Yes, and it's interesting that contrasts with the way that it ends. Was you never have it through the film, but then you've suddenly got a Tom Cruise voiceover of explaining what happens, and it suddenly felt like, and it happened a lot in the film, where you also got that feeling of Blade Runner type of feel.
And it's not just Tom Cruise explaining something to us over voiceover, it's Tom Cruise explaining something to us over voiceover that we should well and truly have pieced together by now.
Yeah, and they could have got away with it with the visuals that were occurring. I think it was a poor choice to include what they decided to take out of Blade Runner from its theatrical cut, and that was the hokey film noir type of... and that was stylistically very much, I think, what they were aiming for in this. The angles of the gun, the smoking gun and things like that. Is straight out of the cop shows of the 40s, and very much that feel in Blade Runner as well. It was... I don't know, it was a Blade Runner wannabe, it was a Terry Gilliam wannabe in injections of humour, but nowhere near as balanced or as finessed and timed as well as Terry Gilliam tends to pull off.
At his best.
Yes, at his best. Yeah, the humour in this just came over as suddenly in your face. It is a very, very serious and dark film. So when you suddenly have these silly things happening, I noticed that you laughed and I laughed, but it was sort of, for me at least, an uncomfortable laugh in that, did they really need to go there?
Interfaces and technology. A little weird. I don't think that's where we'll be at in 2054 somehow.
I've got similar notes. The carved wooden balls. They did explain why they used the identification.
Did they? Did they really explain why?
I don't know.
It's
I think
proof.
They back explained it, I think. And yet the information that's being carved on these wooden balls is not going to... Well, how many of that name are residing in that particular city? And how do you...
What are these balls doing that just throwing the names up on a screen won't do?
But there are a number of layers of that. You've got the interfaces that you put it on one screen, and then you pull that screen out and then stick it into another screen. Maybe that did really look cool in 2003, but...
We have Wi-Fi, we have Ethernet, we have inter-device communication. We don't...
Yeah. It seemed clunky against the haptic interfaces that were acted very, very well, and I thought worked really, really well. And the swipes and the pushing off.
But it all seems a bit much, doesn't it?
Yeah. But that's the future. Speaking of a bit much, you've got the opposite of that, where people are watching 3D.
What is clearly... even in universe, simulated 3D.
Yeah,
from 2D footage.
It was such a backward step from 2D technology. Would you choose to watch that in your lounge room as opposed to the movie that we just watched in 2D on a 1080p TV screen? It was a major backstep as far as being able to actually watch it.
Like, good job, you got the holograms working, but you don't have anything to actually play on them.
Yeah. when it was really dark and tense, it was a solid film. But there were so many clunky spots. The jetpack scenes, that looked really, really clunky as well. You didn't need to have the wires erased because you could tell the wires were there even once they were erased.
All the methods of conveyance that the pre-crime unit uses. Just why? How?
When they all stood on the lifts to be lifted up into their vehicle, I was half expecting the Thunderbirds theme to play.
5,
4,
3,
2,
1. Thunderbirds are go.
I really, really want to like this film a lot more than I did. But it's such a Jekyll and Hyde film. When it's good, it's really, really good, and when it's bad, it's horrid.
And then those huge airships. Why?
What other notes have I got? Okay, I've covered Terry Gilliam. Having had major eye surgery, and also having had eyes clamped open and things like that, and then having the message, don't scratch, I instantly had flashbacks of just so wanting to scratch and not being able to. So there was an extra level of squirmishness during that scene. And also the absolute terror as a parent of misplacing a child is...
In a moment.
Yeah. I don't know whether you remember it all or not, but there was a time when you were learning to ride a bike.
Right.
In the car park at the chapel. And Morgan was doing so too. And I turned my back for 1 minute and Morgan disappeared.
Right.
Yeah. We were sort of heading home, and I don't think he wanted to head home right now. And I'd turned my back for 1 second and I turned back round and he had gone. And I freaked out. And then I caught this sort of mop of blonde hair heading towards a very, very busy highway.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I was carrying both of the bikes at the time. I dropped both of the bikes, left you behind, and just raced like Tom Cruise. It was a real Tom Cruise run, and down over a couple of fences. And there was Morgan running from me on the car's side of a barrier on a 4-lane highway.
Yeah?
Well, as in 4 lanes heading the same direction that he was heading. So he had his back towards the flow of the traffic.
Right.
And, there were beep beeps. And I just jumped over the barrier, run. All these cars flying past me and beep, beep, beeps. And finally caught up with him, scooped him up and leapt over the side barrier onto the... He was terrifying. But I still don't think that was as terrifying as that split-second moment where I didn't know where he was. He just disappeared. That being said, it was terrifying running down this... Because all he needed to do was veer out into the traffic rather than against this. And, yeah, it would have been... absolutely ugly.
I don't remember this at all.
No, you were young.
I think if something had gone wrong, more wrong than it already had, I might remember, but wow.
Yeah. Yes, so that's the closest, I think, recollection experience. And there have been other moments where momentarily lost visual contact with one of you, and working in a large retail store and having parents just absolutely fraught with my child. I do not know where my child is, and it's just a horrible feeling.
And that retail store's a maze.
Yes. Yeah, you can almost guarantee that they're going to be in the toy section, but you still don't know. And the number of times where that would happen and the kid would be found on the next level up, in the toy section of the store above. Anyway,
Do you have any other notes?
There was a section where I was really, really enjoying it, and then suddenly got hit in the face by a motif in the soundtrack that just screamed, "This is a John Williams soundtrack." And I had to Google it, and sure enough, yes, it was a John Williams soundtrack. But other than that, it was a decent soundtrack until there was this John Williamism happening. So that was good.
Which is to say, something definitely cribbed straight from some classical...
Yeah, that's right. Okay, do you have anything else?
I am making sure you're all out of notes.
Okay, all right.
Because I only have the one left.
The use of, and this is a spoiler, the use of the eyeball to get him back into the place. You would think, seeing as they've been chasing for this guy, that they would have immediately cancelled his key.
And furthermore, the use of his eye as a key would have set off alarm bells.
Absolutely.
Double problems.
Yeah. But no, the door says, "Come on in."
Hey there, John.
Yeah. So the only other note I think I've got is the female scientist was absolutely wonderful. You didn't know whether she was crazy or evil or just, I don't know.
Has she set off a silent alarm somewhere? No, just a little deranged.
Just a little deranged with plants that... Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's... Yeah, I think that's about it.
Never trust anyone with a poison garden. Some really interesting themes. Themes of free will and determinism.
Yes.
That I don't know that are quite resolved, to be honest.
No. Again, I think that's got a lot to do with them I say them, it's Spielberg. I think he was just trying to do too much in this and then not achieving the best of anything. It really could have been a real deep dive into that because the concept is great. And the dilemmas that it produces are wonderful in that, are you guilty of the murder before you actually commit it? Old Steve, he edged around it and slapped you in the face with it, but did he really? I mean, he obviously got us both thinking about that dilemma.
So, you're John Anderton. You know what the precogs have seen.
Yeah.
About you specifically.
Mm-hmm.
You know when things are going to go down. It's 12 minutes away.
Yeah.
And you go in the building anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. And I can't remember the other show that I've seen. Maybe it was 12 Monkeys. I can't remember. There's something that I've seen where they know at a certain time this is what it's believed this person did. And therefore you would think that, yes, you would run as far away from that scenario as possible just to prove that it doesn't happen or to change events. Well, I certainly would. I wouldn't have dragged that poor girl up the stairs as she's constantly still recalling things and helping him to get there.
Please leave, please
and
leave.
And then tells her to please leave. It just...
In 12 Monkeys, at least, some attempt is made to change the course of events by the people in them, but spoilers for 12 Monkeys, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's actually the beauty of that film is that there are attempts made to break the cycle and inadvertently that's actually what causes things to happen.
And
whereas this circumstance...
And yet at the end it's still unclear whether a solution has been found anyway.
Yeah.
But no, in this, John Anderton... It ends up going out of his way to get into the situation that is bad and that he knows is bad.
Yeah.
Just wait 12 minutes. Then you can go in. It's fine.
Yeah. No, I think I would be in that swish Lexus driving in the complete opposite direction as fast as I could, and then call up saying, "Look, I am here. Hello."
Yeah.
I obviously didn't do it at that exact time. Get arrested by someone at the exact time that I'm supposed to be committing a crime. In one place, I would get arrested not committing a crime.
Hi, this is 2054. You know exactly where I am. You know that I cannot possibly get there in the time required.
Yeah.
Except maybe by that airship, which I still don't. It is difficult to recommend this film.
Yeah. I really do want to like this more. But yes, it is severely flawed, and I'm going to have to leave it at that, I think. I would recommend seeing it, but know that you're in for a flawed movie. I don't think we've got anything for the next segment, because that was going to be just talking about Lee wanting to join us for this episode.
As established earlier.
He ain't here. So let's just move on into this segment.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
And it's your turn, as we established earlier.
It is my turn. This time next week.
Yes.
As the episode is going out, it'll be my birthday.
Hip hooray, hip hooray, hip hooray.
No, too early.
Oh. Maybe I'm pre... Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I'm just thinking, so give me a moment to think.
Ding 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 ding. Right, your time is up. Or should I have just gone ding dong 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 ding dong?
Forget about that then, I guess.
Ta-da!
And I had an idea, but didn't check my working.
I need your answer now.
So I'm going to have to think of something else.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be something on streaming service, but it's come off streaming services.
Oh, look, a lot of that has happened this week. We were watching Stargate, and I didn't have to get up and get discs or anything like that, because obviously, of course, we've got all of that on disc, but no. I'd say, Emily, line her up, and she'd hop onto Stan and get it going, but went looking for it on Stan on Monday night, and it had gone. Sorry, what were you after? Something else.
Something else. I'm not going to say it. Might come up again.
It might
later.
come up again.
Yeah. And then where would be?
Yeah, but if you blah blah blah. No.
Okay. Well, that's throwing a spanner in the works. I might have to just pick randomly.
Wow.
Yeah.
A random birthday film.
Yeah. That's very disappointing, actually. Well, I've given my iPad a shake.
Yes.
And that is a surprisingly prescient choice.
Right.
That the RNG has thrown out at me. So today, as we're recording it,
yes.
It is February 2nd.
It is.
Groundhog Day. And the film that the RNG has thrown out at me is one such a time loop film.
And does it happen to star the same person who starred in Minority Report?
It does not.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
No, in fact, we've covered that one.
We did we?
We have covered that one.
Right.
So
good.
So different one.
Just shows how good my memory is.
Yeah. We are talking about a different time loop film.
Okay.
It stars Jake Gyllenhaal. Michelle Monaghan, Vera Farmiga. It's from the director of Moon. Is any of this helping you?
It really should, but as you can see, my brain is not functioning at the moment.
Right.
Everyone in Dear Listener Land is just screaming at me.
It's from 2011.
Yep.
Genres are listed as action, science fiction, suspense/thriller.
I'm
Nothing?
trying to think. Oh, is it source code?
It is source code. You got there.
Good grief. Yes, it was.
Congratulations.
I had to get Jake out of a whole heap of other films that I know are on the shelf. Mm-hmm. Is that really, really bad? Okay. Yes. So, source code.
Congratulations. Your prize is you get to watch source code next
cool.
week.
Good.
If you had not gotten it, you still would have got to watch source code next week.
I would have. There is no breaking that cycle. Thomas, would you please tell our dear listener what the plot synopsis of the source code is according to the back of the DVD?
I'm just pulling up the image of the back of the DVD because the transcription in the database
Is non-existent?
leaves something to be desired.
Oh, really?
And this is low resolution, which is also not helpful. But I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Okay.
From the acclaimed director of Moon, Duncan Jones, comes source code, an exhilarating, intelligent, and brilliantly constructed sci-fi thriller. When decorated soldier Captain Coulter Stevens wakes up in the body of an unknown man, he discovers he's part of a mission to find the bomber of a Chicago commuter train. In an assignment unlike any he's ever known, he learns he's part of a government experiment called the Source Code, a program that enables him to cross over into another man's identity in the last 8 minutes of his life. With a second, much larger target threatening to kill millions in downtown Chicago, Coulter relives the incident over and over again, gathering clues each time until he can solve the mystery of who is behind the bombs and prevent the next attack. Filled with mind-boggling twists and heart-pounding suspense, Source Code also stars those two names that I had trouble pronouncing earlier.
Jake and Michelle.
No, Michelle and Vera.
Oh, right.
Last names. And Jeffrey Wright.
I had, and I think this is what threw me, is that I don't think I'd realised it was directed by the same person who directed Moon.
Well, there we go.
I don't think. But who can say?
So that's Source Code.
We're going to watch Source Code next week.
Yeah.
We hope that you can stick with us, not join us here, but join us in your ears. Share your ears with us when we watch Source Code. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us, in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
Or something.
Or something. Well- Oh yeah, here comes the tingles. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Did just fine
Yeah.
all the way through
Yeah.
up until that very awkward ending we just had.
Well, you see, as I was realising that I was not remembering things, that's when it was hitting me. So, hang on. Have we...
We have both seen Source Code.
Oh, yes. Did we do Edge of Tomorrow?
We
for
have
this?
done Edge of Tomorrow for this podcast.
See,
yes.
that's... and that's scary.
I'd have to...
It's probably fairly recently, too.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Anchor.fm/cellulose. It's a URL that has the word cellulose in it, which makes it not cellulose free. Which is something I've just realised just now, in an ironic twist of fate.
Yeah.
Let's see, Black Hole, Edge of Tomorrow, October 7th.
That was a little time away.
Which is to say October 6th.
Yes.
Which is to say it could be either of those dates, time zones.
So if any dear listener is still listening to this, if I actually include it, don't feel bad about how fickle these things are, because I don't remember them.
I don't remember bringing up the Hobart City and Town Halls, but apparently we did in that episode, because there's a link for a virtual tour to both of those in the description of Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh dear, I'm going to hit stop here.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Yep. Alright, can I just get some levels?
So, Mark Brown of Game Maker's Toolkit on Twitter recently said, "The time between companies announcing and cancelling their misguided NFT projects is getting so short, we'll soon see a company reveal and then apologise and scrap their NFT rollout within the exact same tweet."
Ah dear, it's a crazy, crazy old world. Blockchain and NFT and... By the way, dear listener, our podcast logo is now available as an NFT.
And like some number of NFTs, it has been done with no consultation with the artist whatsoever.
None whatsoever, no.
This is the first the artist is hearing about it.
Okay, are you ready?
I am artist, artist is me.